Oh boy, you don't want to miss this video because I'm going to show you how to get to 1,000 subscribers, and it's a methodology that no other YouTube creator has really honed in on. And I think that's because few of them have a background in starting up successful ventures, which is what I've done before. This strategy is the same one that successful startup companies use to grow their business and to build successful products. You don't want to miss this. What's up, y'all? It's John Masterly here to help you level up like a boss. Now, I'm working on this YouTube series showing people how to grow to 100,000 subscribers in less than 1 year. So make sure you subscribe and check out the rest of my videos in this playlist where I break down how to get to 100 subscribers, now how to get to 1,000, and eventually how to get to 100,000. It's a methodology that few people have shared with you so far, and it's because few people have started up so many different channels to validate whether or not this has worked or not. What I've done is started up 5 different channels this past year to prove what works and what doesn't on YouTube. This is a methodology I wanted to share with you. One that has proven to work over and over again, and one that I've used whenever I start up a new venture or I test out a new product. And it works so remarkably well on YouTube. And in fact, I was shocked to find out that after I tweaked the formula a bit, I was able to grow to like 1,000 subscribers in less than a month. So here's how it works, y'all. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking about that 1,000 subscriber mark because that's a point where you can start to monetize, right? 1,000 subscribers, 400 watch hours, and that becomes your goal. And the problem with that is that you start to focus on the numbers, then the purpose, the method for you to get to that 1,000 and go beyond that. As a small YouTuber, you should not be thinking about growth. Just like any sort of small company, your number one priority when you start up a new venture is to figure out what market opportunity exists and how are you positioned in a way where you have a competitive advantage to satiate that market demand. In the business world, they call this the product market fit. Ultimately, what you're trying to figure out is, what is it that you're good at? What is it that you're interested in? And then you take a look at what is the market interested in, the different categories of content that exist out there, whether it's gaming or finance, and specific niches within each of those, whether it's let's play videos or how to invest in stocks. The whole idea is trying to figure out this Venn diagram between what you know and what the market wants. That's all your focus should be on as a new YouTuber. Well, of course, besides also learning how YouTube works, right? Like how to edit videos and how to use keywords and all that sort of stuff. But just knowing the tools to use and just knowing the tactics, well, it doesn't work. Because what I find out so many YouTubers don't have a strategy and figure out like what actually pops on YouTube. Ultimately, product market fit is trying to determine what the YouTube algorithm is going to do.
So why is this important?
If you think of it this way, the YouTube algorithm was designed to recommend a video that 31 million YouTubers are creating and determining which one of those videos best fits a viewing habit that a viewer has that would make someone interested in clicking on your video and watching it. So there are pools of people out there that you really need to target and focus on and think about content for them. The goal here is to discover what sort of channel authority you can develop around a particular type of content that you know once you nail, you can start scaling. But until then, don't think about growth. Think of each video that you post up as another opportunity to test the appetite of the market as determined by the algorithm. So this is a testing phase. And you could test every possible variation of a mix of things, from the niche that you're in, the format of the video that you're trying to develop. If it's a long form or short form, should it be funny? Should it not be funny? All these different things where you mix it together with your unique blend of your personality is going to create an opportunity to validate whether or not the market thinks you are the next hot thing that they want to tune in on and they want to subscribe to. And the other reason why this is really important to do early on is because what you're going to find out is that once you really do discover that next holy grail of, whoa, I'm blowing up here, you got to ultimately determine, is this something that you want to be doing over a long period of time? Can you sustain that type of product creation process? You can think of each video as another product that you create. And so the biggest problem I think most new YouTubers have is that they try to jump on these different trends. And they think like, well, it's a hot trend. I'm getting some views, so getting some subscribers. Well, if it starts to take off, Are you willing to ride that trend all the way to the end? Are you really willing to go deep and to say like, all right, well, that's something that I know that I can create a lot of good content around? Or are you going to switch to something else, in which case all that goodwill and all those viewers you built around that subject matter might get turned off as you change course? The best opportunities are the ones where the market is underserved and there's a growing demand. In other words, demand is trending upward. And what I mean by trending, I'm not just talking about something that shows up on YouTube's trending page. In fact, by the time something usually comes up on YouTube trending's page, it's already reached millions of people. There's already been a number of people who've already jumped on it to try to capitalize on it. So the goal here is see if you can jump onto something that is the next thing that's about to hit, or for you to create. That's the ideal scenario. Now, it doesn't mean you can't jump on a YouTube trend. It just means that you got to work a lot harder to stand out from all the competition. Because as a new YouTuber, you have to readily admit your content isn't that great yet, whether it's because the audio quality isn't quite there yet, your editing still needs tweaking, your presence on the camera, is still not quite there yet, but you still have something that shows promise. And you can win over a lot more subscribers on that promise if there aren't as many of these big YouTubers who have very established bases and who have an A game already on YouTube and beat them on something here. And each time I was able to start up a channel and get into 1,000 subscribers became faster and easier once I realized how important it was to focus on trying to figure out what worked first. And the whole point of this learning is ultimately to be able to get comfortable and realize that there are things that you could do well in and there's things that you can't do well in. And this is how you can make a decision in terms of whether or not you should stick with it or not. If you look at your metrics, and ultimately that's what you really have to look at, right? You have to be beholden to the data. If the metrics suggest that most of your key metrics are pretty close to what the industry average is for that niche, then I would say tweak a couple things. You have a darn good shot in terms of being dominant in that scene, especially as your content gets better and better. Now, if a couple of your metrics are pretty far off, let's say your click-through rate is about half as good as what you're hearing other people are getting in that niche, then that suggests that you might need to pivot. That if there's only one thing that might be working, that you may have to change a lot of things and go down a different path. Now, if nothing's working, well, that's a clear sign that you just should give up and try something else completely.
I don't know if I can do this.
And there's no shame in that. And in fact, what you don't want to do is continue to try to make the same type of content. After 10 videos, if you're literally seeing no traction, you really need to dramatically rethink what you're doing. And that's what happened with a lot of our food vlogs. We tried doing mukbang, we tried to do cooking.
So you scoop in to get some stuff that you want. It's like fishing.
I love making food. Lulu loves eating food. We love trying new things, but every one of our food videos had never taken off past 1,000 views with about 2 to 4% click-through rate for the thumbnail. So whatever it is about us, our face, the way we eat, the way we talk about it, it's just not appealing to people. And I could continue to try to bump my head through the door to break through and try to clear a path. But quite frankly, I think that there are better things that we could do. And maybe we can revisit this later, but as of right now, our food-related videos are on the back burner. Now, what has done really well for us is, as an example, we discovered that when we do reactions,
Oh my God!
with popular singers from around the world. And that's because both Lulu and I have lived overseas, we traveled a lot. So we have a very interesting perspective on international talent, especially given that Lulu used to be a performer and used to sing for a living. And I used to work in the entertainment industry on the business end of things. So we talk about things in a way that most other people can't. That is our competitive advantage. So this gets me to one of the key points in terms of the things you need to focus on as you work your way towards 1,000 subscribers. Benchmarks. It is so important for you to establish benchmarks of where you are today and compare them against industry averages. And by benchmarks, I mean, what are your key metrics that you're generating as of right now? And the key metrics that you need to take a look at is any of the metrics that are along the viewer conversion funnel. Meaning, as a viewer discovers your video on YouTube, how many of them click on a video, and then how many watch that video for how long, and then how many subscribe or watch another one of your videos. Those particular metrics are absolutely key because they determine how far down the rabbit hole people are willing to go for your channel. The key here is to understand that that funnel will ultimately determine your success, the ability for you to determine which thing do you double down on. If that funnel looks thick, in other words, conversions are great, watch time is great, subscription ratios are great, then you're on to something.
Celebration time!
My last piece of advice in terms of the strategy you should use to get to 1,000 subscribers, the whole point of testing isn't to constantly add new things into the testing mix, but rather to start cutting things out to figure out what you laser focus in on. Ultimately, there isn't enough time in a day and enough resources for you to do whatever you want. I know a lot of people go, well, there's a lot of things I'd like to do, but ultimately, if you want to become a successful YouTuber, what is the things that you're going to do well in and just double down on that? And once you're successful with one channel, you can easily decide to spin up a second one as you hire additional staff to take care of a lot of things that go into the production process. But ultimately, right now, it's just you. If you're just starting off and you're trying to figure out how to get to 100 subscribers, make sure you watch my other video on that because it's a completely different strategy. And also realize that once you get past 1,000 subscribers, there's a completely different strategy for that as well. So I'm gonna make a video about that pretty shortly, right after this one, so you don't wanna miss this.